Hello everybody, it's Marcy, and before I get started today, I want to remind you, excuse me, that today is the last day to enter my 200 subscriber giveaway. I am going to attempt to put a link to that video up in the corner at the end of the video. If I'm not able to do that, there will definitely be a link to the 200 subscriber video in the description box below. So if you've not already seen that video and not already entered, you can check that out. Okay, so today I'm going to make one of these little flip book albums. They're pretty quick, pretty easy, and this is just a mini flip book album. It doesn't have a whole lot of flip outs. So let's get started. So for the one I'm making, you're going to need 8 pieces of scrapbook paper to start with. You'll want other stuff or more scrapbook paper for embellishing, but just to make the basic, you'll want 8 pieces of scrapbook paper cut to 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall. And I rounded my corners. That's absolutely not necessary. You'll also need a 1-inch strip of plain cardstock that matches an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. Okay, so, and you'll want your 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my cardstock in half at 5 1/2 inches. And this paper has actually been running a hair shade, this cardstock has been running a hair shade long, and I really want my pages to match up, so I'm going to trim that off. It's like 1/32 of an inch is all, but it's enough to be noticeable to me when I am doing stuff. Okay, now they match up. So the next thing I need to do is I need to score each of these. Basically, we're making like an A2 card base. Score these at 4 1/4 inches. So if you wanted to do something like this, of course you can make it any size. You can add pages. For these, I'm just making them small. But, oh, forgot one. Need to score my 1-inch strip in half, so 1/2 inch. But where I was going with that was, if you didn't have plain cardstock, or you could use note cards or something and do the same thing. Okay, so now I'm going to fold all of these and crease my folds. So I hope everybody's doing well today, enjoying your weekend. My husband is on call, which is giving me, for his job, which is giving me lots of crafting time. Okay, now, normally I use glue for stuff, but for my hinge, I'm going to use my double-sided tape. So I'm just going to tear a strip. I'm not super worried about the edges. Basically, I'm just putting it down the middle because the edges will be covered by some of our cardstock or our scrapbook paper. Man, words are not easy for me today. Okay, so now you can use glue for this part if you want to. What I have found is if you do that, before you start bending your pages, especially where the hinge is, you'll want to let that glue dry. Okay, so I'm going to put my hinge right there. And get my tape started peeling up. Now, as you'll watch, I'm not going to peel the whole thing off. Well, I'm very firmly holding the cardstock, and now that I've got that end down, the cardstock isn't going to move on me. Oh, it's not supposed to move on me. I think I botched that one. That's okay. I can fix it. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing, attempt to do the same thing here. Okay. And my hinge is just a tiny bit too long. So I'm just going to snip that tiniest sliver. All right. Now, fold my hinge. Let's be sure everything lines up properly. Burnish that down. And then just fold everything accordion style. I'm actually going to bring mine the other way as well. I want to be sure everything moves freely. I did not get my hinge done super well on this one, but that's okay. Okay. So try to do a better job with your hinge than I just did. But it will work. All right, so now you're going to take your 8 pieces of scrapbook paper and cover each panel. Now I want a plain one. This will be my front panel. when I flip the book, this will be my front. It will open here and then flip over here and flip over, and we're to the back, and then it will flip open that way and then come back to the front. I want my front panel to be pretty plain. And, well, there's no sense in sitting there thinking about it. I know I want that one to go on my front panel. So use tape, use glue, use whatever adhesive you would like. And glue down your mat. And then do that for each of your 8 panels. And I will pause the video so you don't have to watch me glue all these down. I might attempt to straighten this a little bit, and I will be right back. Okay, I got all my pages covered, and I did manage to get my hinge straightened a little bit. It was not easy. I wouldn't recommend it. But I did get all my pages covered. That's the important thing. So now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add a couple of pockets. So I've got this little pocket that I cut out of the same paper, and I'm going to put it right here as a side pocket. And I cut this to 5 1/4 inches long by 2 inches wide. So it covers, basically it covers half the mat. And as soon as I get this glued down, I'll tell you why I did it that way. I'm going to put this down as a pocket, so I'm only going to glue 3 sides. And I'm going to turn this so I can see where my edge is. And get that lined up with my mat. And put down. Now I will be tucking a little card in here, but if you wanted to just use this as like a photo album, I'm making the pockets such that it could easily just have a photo placed over it. It brings the 2 sides together, and so it can be used however somebody wants to use it. Okay, and I want a pocket here, and for this one, if I can find it, I used some of the strip cut aparts from this paper pad. And this one is 1 3/4 inches high by 4 inches wide. And I just want that to be a little bottom pocket. And same thing, if somebody did not want to use it as a pocket to put something in, then the entire page could still be used as a photo mat. Now for me, this is going to be a little thick. I don't know that because I use so much cardstock and stuff, This will be a standalone little album, but I'm thinking with the Dear Julie Julie challenge, I think I'd like to do something similar, but altered to fit better in a journal without being so thick and bulky. Okay, but you could use this in a journal if you weren't concerned about getting a really fluffy journal, or if you didn't have a lot to go in there. Okay, so again, something will be going in there. And now, let's see, flip back over to the front. I'm going to decorate the front last. So on this page, I've got 3 sheets of paper. One is 3 3/4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. And then I've got 2 that are 3 3/4 inches wide by 4.5 inches tall. And these 2 I'm going to score. Basically, I'm going to make a little waterfall to go in here. So it's 4.5 inches long, turned this way. I'm going to score at 4. I'm scoring it at 1/2 inch from the top. Okay. And fold that down. And that one. So now I'm going to, I want that one on top. I'm going to put glue on my strip, doing this just like I did the waterfall albums that I made. I'm just making a smaller waterfall with fewer pages. Get this lined up. Make sure it's lined up on both sides and the top. And now I'm going to put the second one down. I don't know why my computer dings every time I turn my camera on, it seems like. Okay. That looks good. So when we put this in here in our flip book or flip album, then you'll have a place here, and a place here, all of which can have photos added to them or be written on. Well, you could write on the blank side. Some of these are pretty dark. So I'm just going to add glue to the back, all over the back. And pull this a little closer so I can try to get it lined up somewhat centered on that mat. Now you could have not put a mat down on this page and made the waterfall bigger. I just didn't think about it before I started doing it. Okay. So we've got those. And our other pockets should be dry. So again, I'm just using little cutouts from my paper pad. This one I just added a little ribbon to. This one I had to kind of piece together because I'm just about out of the cut aparts from this paper pad. So just a little card to slide right in here. Uh-oh. Oh, I see. I don't have his foot glued down. And now I checked that and thought it should slide right in. There we go. Nope, that one's still going to need some work. I botched that one, but I will have a card to go in there. And in here, we'll put this tag. And I'm going to go back to the front. And what I've done here is I've got half of a doily, and I just cut a corner off of one of the pages. It will go there. I want the doily tucked underneath. Just get that up a little bit. Trying to figure out where I'm going to want the doily, because since I want it underneath, I'm going to use somewhere my pencil to remind me where I want the doily. And normally I just use stick glue and glue the area that I want the doily to go, because using liquid glue on doilies is kind of a pain. But for this, I don't have my stick glue pulled out. So I'm going to use my wet glue. Get these. And this art glitter glue dries so quickly, and it has such a fine tip that I'm able to do this without really making a mess. Get some there. Be sure I've got those edges. Okay. Now I'm going to see where I did my pencil mark and basically lay my doily right on top of that pencil mark. That way, assuring that it is covered. And now I'm going to glue that down. You could leave this as a top tuck. Just glue it on 3 sides. I'm not going to do that for this one, but you certainly could. And if I were making this a full-fledged journal, I probably most likely would leave that as a top tuck. Okay. So I've got that. Now I'm going to switch gears for just a second. I've got this Happy Holidays that will be going down at the bottom. But I want to attach a little bit of lace to it. So I'm going to use some Fabri-Tac, and more glue will be going on this, but I need something right now to hold the lace. So I'm going to put this on, and this lace, you probably can't see it, but it's got a design in it that's allowing me to line up part of the design right at the top edge of this card, so I can see that I've got it straight and got just a little bit of excess there, so trim that off. And then Mr. Polar Bear will be going right there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put, I'm going to go back with my Fabri-Tac again and put, basically I'm going to cover the back of this scrapbook paper, so the lace will get a little more glue on it. Okay. But the top part of the lace that shows will remain, it will not be glued down. Okay, so got that. Now the last thing I want to do is glue down my polar bear. So basically I'm just layering a few things on the cover just to make it pretty and give it a little bit of interest. But the inside, other than the little cards and stuff I've added, I will leave for the receiver to do with as they please. Add pictures, add stories. There's a little bit of writing space where I made the waterfall and of course the card and the tag. Okay, so for right now, the penguin just about disappears. I'm just going to put that little penguin in there to remind me